Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby. Here with me is Michael Zegen of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And Michael, I think, if I think back to the first season of Maisel, I never would have expected to come back around to loving Joel as much as I did this final season. Did
Yeah.
you did you ever expect this type of huge redemption for him?
No. Honestly, yeah, I didn't know what to expect. Um, I honestly, and I've said this before, when I first read the pilot, I honestly thought that he wasn't coming back. It was only it was only after, I read the character breakdown, it said that he's a series regular, which was actually, it was just kind of unexpected and really exciting. But I would have been perfectly happy had it just been that first episode. And maybe he came back here or there throughout the season. But honestly, I really I no, I didn't expect. I feel like every season there was some sort of redemption for him, and yeah, I mean, it was a real 180. But I was psyched. I didn't,
Yeah.
especially at the end of the first season when he beats up the hecklers.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, he's, that's a great redemption for him. But it wasn't over. Every season there seemed to be more and more.
Yeah, and this final season kind of ends with a reversal where he's left. He's the one left now by May, which I was
Right.
happy to see her evolution with the character, but bummed because you had such great chemistry with Stephanie Shu. What was it like to film that final scene with her? It was very intense.
Yeah, that was also unexpected. I didn't anticipate that she would only be in that first episode. I don't think, nobody knew. Um, but but it was good. It was sad that I wasn't gonna get to do any more scenes with Stephanie, but for her character, I thought it made total sense. Especially somebody recently asked me, they were like, why did she have to get an abortion? Um, and couldn't she have just had a miscarriage? And that defeats the whole purpose. I mean, it was her decision, and I think that's so poignant because she wanted to be a doctor and
Mhm.
to be pregnant. It just wouldn't, especially in those days, it just wouldn't have happened for her. So it made total sense. It was just, selfishly, it was sad that we had to say goodbye to Stephanie.
Yeah. Well, one of the huge arcs in this season is Joel just makes this enormous sacrifice for Midge. You get her out from underneath the mob. He eventually goes to jail for her and is quite steadfast in those scenes. How easy or difficult do you think it was for him to reach that decision?
Well, yeah, I don't think it was that difficult at all for him to reach that decision. I mean, he's ever since he left her, he's felt this immense responsibility for her and for her life and for her career. And um, I, I I mean, I think it was just second nature. This was what he had to do. And again, it's another, it's redemption. I think he's always been searching for that redemption ever since he left her, and so he'd do anything for her to make up for leaving her, even though, as everyone sees, him leaving her was the best thing possible for her and for everyone.
Right. And part of that story is there's a lot of flash forwards this season.
Hmm.
So when we get to many years in the future, you are decked out in all of this incredible old age
Yeah.
makeup. Uh, what was the process of getting into that? How long did that take you every day?
Yeah, it took a long time. It was the only other time I've done anything like that was I was on Walking Dead early on. I think it was the second season, and it took like 2 hours to get into the makeup, and then another 2 hours to get out of the makeup. This was it wasn't any better necessarily. I didn't have to wear contact lenses like I did to be a zombie, but which was the worst. I mean, that was the worst part of it. My eyes apparently rejected the lenses, but that's a whole other story. But uh, but yeah, no, we had Mike Marino, who's just the cream of the crop in terms of special effects makeup. You know, he did Colin Farrell in the Penguin as the Penguin in the Batman movie, and he was just nominated for an Oscar. So I mean, he's top of the line, and you know, it was a whole process. I had to go get body scans. They were originally going to do my whole body, so I had to get body scans and head scans, and then they made little models of old me and in different, you know, phases of old age. And then they tweaked it. We did a few, I guess, test runs with the makeup. So it was a lot of hours in the chair, but it was great. You know, as an actor, like there's nothing better. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to, you know, I mean, it wasn't like Eddie Murphy and the Nutty Professor or anything like that, to that extent, but it was still, it's just so much fun when, you know, I recently, I've been working on the Batman spinoff, The Penguin, for HBO Max, and Colin Farrell said that when he's in this makeup, it's the most freeing he's ever been as an actor, and I totally agree with that. I mean, obviously, I had to stick to the Joel character, but you feel like you actually feel like you're another person. And you know, we're so lucky as it is being on Maisel, because the world is you know, they built up this whole 1950s 1960s world all around us, so it already feels like it, you know, and it's perfection. uh Kudos to Bill Groom, our production designer, and everybody else involved. But that's, you know, we feel like we're in it. And now, you know, when you have the old age makeup and you look like an old man, it's you actually feel like an old man. So it was really remarkable, and it's just so much fun.
So Joel's fate is really surprising to the audience, you know, when he winds up in prison. And I'm curious because that's different from a play or a musical where you know the parameters of this character. What is
Mhm.
it like playing someone where you don't know where the character is going?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's typically, you know, TV in general. You don't necessarily know where this character is going. It's not like a play or a movie, where you have a beginning, middle, and end. And I don't, you know, I've said this a lot. I really don't. I don't ask any questions. I don't like to know in advance. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe it would help me, but it doesn't. You watch the show and you'd have no idea that I didn't know where this character was going. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's exciting that way, and especially with him ending up in prison, I had, you know, I really had no idea. But that's par for the course with this show, because you know, sometimes actors, they talk about, oh, I write a character diary, I wrote a whole backstory for my character, and you know, on Maisel, it's kind of pointless, because like in season 3, when we find out that Marin's character Rose, you know, grew up in Oklahoma, no one would have had any idea that that was the case. So no, when I found out he was in prison, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I couldn't wait to do it.
And there's a lot of opportunity with that and with other moments this season. Like really subtle work between you and Rachel Brosnahan of these like small gestures and looks carrying like a lot of meaning. I
Mhm.
think like the way like you ask her if she wants a drink, or the after the teacher's office, or the way you behave with each other in the teacher's office. Does all of that come naturally between you two at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, you know, been working together for a while now, for years, and yeah, it's just that familiarity that we have with each other and with these characters, and I'm glad that it you know, shows on screen.
Mm. Is there a, you know, looking back at the season, I think all these characters really evolve a great deal. Is there a point that you can pinpoint that was like your favorite part of his journey, the most satisfying part to play?
For this season or overall?
I think overall, just thinking about his whole journey.
I think going back to that scene that I mentioned, where he beats up the hecklers, or he gets beaten up, you know, the fight scene
Yeah, yeah.
outside the club. I think that was the big turning point for me in terms of this character. It showed me that he had some bit of redemption in him, um, and he stood up for her, and I thought that that was so valiant, and you know, and sad, and just a great ending to that first season, I got, goosebumps watching it, and I knew what was coming. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite moments. But there's so many. I mean, this show has just so many favorite moments of mine, and I couldn't even begin to tell you. I mean, there's a whole list.
Hmm. Well, the final moment, I think Amy and Dan saved the Gordon Ford show, that filming, for last for you all.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you've been with this show for 5 years. It's a huge chunk of your life. What was the atmosphere like on set that day?
Yeah, well, it was a whole week of filming
Right.
that one scene, that Gordon Ford, because there were just so many pieces involved, and so it was a whole week, and it was long days every day, but it was so much fun, and we got to hang out as a cast. We were all there, and we all got to just kind of reminisce. And I remember when they had the camera on me, watching Midge do her set. It was, and she's doing, and God bless Rachel. She did that set over and over and over again every day, all day. And when they had the camera on me, I honestly, I started tearing up because I was just thinking about shooting that pilot, and getting to know Rachel, and thinking about all the good times we had throughout the course of making this show, which was a huge chunk of my life, a huge chapter, and now it was coming to an end. So it was really, it was bittersweet. Everybody keeps asking, was it bittersweet? Yeah, it was bittersweet because I didn't, none of us wanted it to end. But all good things must end. So c'est la vie. But yeah, no, I mean, it was it was sad. But the fact that we were all there made it so much better.
Yeah. Well, in thinking about endings, is there one sort of particular takeaway that you're going to carry with you from this show?
You talking about, like, in terms of props or costumes that
No,
I
not
think?
about theft, about,
Oh,
an experience, a lesson or something that you're going to take with you.
um, well, this was it was the first time that I'd ever been a series regular on a show. I'd always done, recurring parts here and there, and on really good, quality TV shows, and most of which I was a fan of before I even, acted on the show, which is so surreal when you get to work with these characters that you've been watching. But yeah, it's for me, it's that dreams can come true. I mean, that was always a goal of mine, to be a regular on a TV series, and to know that I'm going to be in every episode, and to have a journey that I can, see through. And it came true. And so that's a lesson for myself and for any other actor out there who has the same dream.
Well, it's a wonderful dream realized. Fabulous job on this
Oh,
final
thank you so
season.
much.
Thank you, Michael, so much for sitting down with me. For everyone who's out there watching, subscribe to Gold Derby. Stick with us this season. Thanks again, Michael.
No problem.